Hey, what up squad, it's your boy K-Flow, and this is the first look and review of the OVS 270 awning. Now let's get this thing started. Now after a ton of research guys, I finally went with an awning made by Overland Vehicle Systems. Now I wanted a high quality awning that can be deployed easily and quickly all by myself. So let's get right into it and let's get to the garage. Alright guys, there's the awning behind me. I'm gonna open it up and time it to see how long it really takes to deploy one of these things open. There is a little bit of a slight wind, so you might hear some of the hushing from the wind, and there's also some construction going on like really close to my house, so pardon all that noise, but let's do this. Timer on. Looks like there's some water in that bad boy. Alright, about 5 minutes, 10 seconds. This is actually like the third time I opened this. I ended up fumbling with the straps a little bit. But overall, that was fairly quick. I can definitely get that down faster if I wasn't filming at the same time and like fumbling through some of the deployment, but it's all good. So let's take a look. I did notice there was some water that accumulated on the inside of the bag, which is a little weird because I packed that away dry and we had some major rain, so I guess there's a little bit of water that seeps through the enclosure in the bag anyways. So whatever, it's all good. I'll do an update in maybe 6 months, in a 1 year time frame, once I've been using this a bit more. It's great because there's definitely a lot of shade, but let's take a closer look. So it's held open by these straps, and this is the straps that I was fumbling with earlier. It does come with the awning, so that's really nice. It straps onto this tie down point on the awning itself, and it's almost like a cam lock strap. So you just squeeze this, it releases it. So I was trying to figure out how to secure it onto my roof rack. That's why I fumbled a little bit, but I'll probably end up putting like a hook point on the camper itself so I don't have to fumble with putting it onto the roof rack. And same thing goes for the other side guys. There's a tie down point there. The strap goes all the way and is hooked onto the roof rack. Ideally you want to keep the straps on somewhat of the same plane as the awning, because you don't want to pull the awning down with the strap. You want to keep it stretched out so it's getting pulled in that direction. So I'm also going to try to see a more efficient point to hook this part of the awning down. So there are also legs to this awning, so let's take a look at how long it takes to deploy that. Timer start. So that took about 43 seconds for 3 of the legs. And I know there are 3 more legs that are unattached from the frame itself. And I'm estimating it's going to be about the same time, so I'm not going to deploy those. And I'm not also deploying the guy lines, since I'm actually on my driveway and I can't exactly stake these guy lines down. But at this point, let's take a look at the build and see how everything looks from the frame to the fabric. Oh yeah, look at that hinge point guys. That thing is beefy. It looks like it's a double hinge where it pivots between here and here. As you can see, it measures almost 1/4 of an inch, so that's definitely a thick boy right there. And it should be, because there's 4 different arms that extend out from it. And those arms are made of aluminum, And those arms are welded very well to this pivot point. Yeah, that's definitely not breaking down anytime soon. And looking at the forward hinge, it's pretty much the same thickness of the bracket, 2 arms instead, and it's a similar aluminum arm. And moving on to this supporting telescopic member here, there is a little pivot point there, and this definitely telescopes out, so you can just stand it on any surface really. But yeah, this thing's beefy. Can't wait to take it out camping. Now let's take a look at the fabric, guys. This is definitely one of the thicker ripstop nylon that I've seen, and there's like a zipper system stitched all the way around the perimeter. So I believe you can get some walls for this and just zip it through. And additionally, it looks like the seams have been weather sealed by some kind of I don't know if that's like a heat shrink tape of some kind, I don't know, but it's been weather sealed, so that's good news. The thickness of the fabric is 0.035, and this is also some heavy duty zippers that they have installed right on the whole zipper system on the perimeter. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna get the wall, so that's gonna be a little bit overkill since I do have the camper. Now inspecting the stitching, I mean, that's definitely some heavy duty stitching that they did for the overall build of this awning. Yeah, great job, Overland Vehicle Systems. This thing is damn solid. I think these tie down points, like look how thick of a stitching job they did there, and there's like no fraying on the fabric, so I can tell this will definitely hold up for several years when I'm using it. Come with tie down points at the frame and at the middle there. The middle, according to manual, is to get the rain to run down and off of the awning if it's raining heavily, so that you don't accumulate too much weight on the awning system. And this obviously keeps it from flying off if there's a little bit of wind. During heavy wind situations, I'll probably just deploy all the legs and stake it down completely so that it doesn't fly away. But overall though, look how much shade we can get from this thing. It's gigantic. And as you can see, I did finish the strut to open up that hatch, and now I should be able to access all of my kitchen stuff from the inside and the outside. So beautiful thing, guys. So these latches are locking compression latches, so everything in the hatch is safe and secure. So now let's see how quickly we can tear this down. Again, this is my 3rd time ever deploying this and tearing it down. So timer start. So timing wise, it was about 5 minutes and 49 seconds. It's not bad. So doing this the first couple of times, there will be some fumbling. It takes a little bit more effort to fold the front end of the awning and overlap it with the back end. So that one took a little bit of effort, a little bit more thought, because you also don't want to have too much crumple in the fabric itself, because it actually prevents it from closing completely. So it did take me a little while the first time because I was trying to figure that out, and I kind of learned that a little bit better on the 3rd time, which is this time with opening and closing it. So that wasn't bad. 5 minutes is not bad. I could definitely make that go faster. So these are all the accessories the awning comes with. So starting from here and going clockwise, we have the cinch straps. These are 3 of the universal brackets. We have a bunch of guy ropes for all the tie down points. And then it does come with a bag of these stakes. And these are some heavy duty stakes. I've used something similar in the past, so it doesn't break if you start hammering pretty hard on them. And this is the little accessory pouch for the freestanding legs that's not mounted onto those arms on the awning themselves. And if you're not familiar with the cinch straps, there's a little cam lock here that cinches onto the strap itself. So when I was trying to mount them, I was actually fumbling trying to fish this through here while also keeping tension on the strap. So I'll probably just keep the strap somewhat engaged like that before pulling it and opening the awning further. And you could pull it tighter by pushing onto the cam and then pulling the strap through, and it locks pretty tightly. You can keep doing that until you have the desired tension. So that's what I ended up fumbling on, along with the actual hook points. Now moving along the mounting brackets, these are the universal mounting brackets that they provide, but obviously I couldn't use them because mine was parallel setup. This is for perpendicular setup where you have a roof rack, so you mount this long portion on the roof rack, and the shorter portion is what mounts to the side of the awning. The guy ropes with its own tensioning brackets here, so definitely nice. These are a little bit of the higher quality one with reflectors, and these are also the higher quality stakes, so you can definitely hammer on these hard without worrying too much about these bending on you. And I forgot to mention that this also does come with all the hardware that you need, and unfortunately I can't shoot that because they're all mounted on the truck right now. Last but not least, here is the additional supporting stand. So let's open these up. So here they are on the ground. I try to lay it out a little better for you guys to see. There's the little rod point, and that's what hooks into the holes on the bottom of the arms that support the awning. And these are also telescopic, same design. You could twist one side and this thing drops. And the opposite end are basically these plastic balls that stand right onto the ground itself. For you four-wheel camper owners like me, you will have to get a custom bracket in order to fit this awning right up against the camper itself. I'll show you how it's mounted on the inside in a bit. You will need to consider this door when you're designing the bracket. So this awning had to be raised up just a little bit so that when it's deployed, it doesn't interfere with that door. So make sure you take note of that. And those brackets I did design and fabricate myself, and I made a little short video on that. And if you want to see that video, it's linked in the description below. Now the upper portion of the camper, if you ever take a look at how these things are made and the skeleton of these things, the upper portion is made of box tubing, and that's what I mounted it on. So keep in mind that you can do the same thing. The box tubing pretty much stops at the box section of the camper. This part here is made of a C-channel, so the walls here aren't as thick, and I'm not going to put any stress on that because there will be some flex, and I don't want to damage that part of the camper. So if you are mounting, just make sure you're mounting on the box section, not on this section here. Now for the inside of the camper where it's mounted, there are also some other considerations to take. So this is a slide out bed, and when you mount this, you definitely don't want any of those hardware to interfere with the slide system. So starting from the front, it's mounted with a bolt, lock, wash, and washer up top, and I did drill into the sliding portion here, and I drilled low enough so that the hardware won't interfere with this part of the slider. So same thing, bolt, lock, wash, and washer right on this part of the slider. And the middle bracket I mounted right past that slider, so it keeps that from interfering. So the last bracket all the way at the rear, I just mounted it as far back as I can. And as you can probably tell from here, the distances of the two mounting holes are narrower, and the distances of the two mounting holes there are a little bit wider. So how did that look on the camper? The mounting point on the lower part of that bracket is definitely on the furthest point of that bracket, while the middle one, as you can see, it's more pushed up, more centered on the bracket itself. It doesn't really affect functionality, but you know, in terms of lining all of the mounting points, I mean, this one is just slightly higher and that one is just slightly lower, but it still functions pretty well. I did have to order custom length bolts for this setup because the bolts that came with were too short, but I did reuse the existing washer and lock nut. Now there are many options for 270 awnings out there, guys, and I did go with this one because it had aluminum structure for those arms and steel pivot points for the overall mechanism. A lot of the awnings out there are made of plastic, and that's gonna be a no-go for me. Another feature that I really liked was that it covers all of the passenger side of the truck, and it's not just a 270 where it just wraps around the side and goes to the back. This actually combines the 180 design and the 270 design so that you have a very expanded area that's under the shade and protected from the elements. And last but not least, I really like this because you can use it freestanding. You don't necessarily have to deploy those legs if it's not windy. So that's a really great thing. So if you're just gonna be doing a day trip at the woods where there's really little to no wind, you just deploy it, leave it alone and hang out. It's all good. That's why I really like this design over all others. And if it was still gonna rain heavily, I still had the option of putting those legs in. Now there are some things to consider if you're buying this specific awning, guys. Number one, this thing is pretty damn heavy. Not gonna lie, 75 pounds overhead, carrying that with you and a friend, it does put a lot of stress on your shoulders. So at least have a couple of friends with you to hold the awning up while somebody else mounts the screws into the mounting holes. Now if you don't have a roof rack and you're going to mount this on the side of your camper instead, then you will need a fabricator to help you design and fabricate some brackets in order to mount that on the side of your camper. So that's pretty much it for this video, guys. Make sure you smash that like, subscribe, and hit that bell too while you're at it. And until next time, peace out, everybody.